All right, welcome in everybody this Saturday morning at 9 o'clock to Science and Kirk presents the Sports Maven. And as we've been having in the past few weeks, we got Carl Science in the house to talk about the Ravens. And good talk this week. I thought that was just a super game against Tampa. And if it's conceivable, Carl, could this even be a better Lamar than an MVP Lamar like he was last year?
Well, Bruce, I think we're looking at a historic Lamar. Yeah, I think so. Listen, right now, he is 27 years old, and he's clearly hitting another tier, another level. He's killing the blitz. When they blitz him, he's got career highs with his numbers, which is huge in today's NFL. This team is averaging 31 points a game and 461 yards a game, both leading the league. That 460 yards a game is 50 more a game than second place Detroit. The Ravens are in pace, Bruce, to set the record for the most yardage in a season. The current record is the New Orleans Saints under Drew Brees in 2011. The Ravens are on pace for 7,800 plus yards. It's incredible. Lamar himself, we might as well call him Otani for what he's doing right now in the NFL. I mean, he's he's on pace for the first time ever for a quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards and rush for over 1,000 yards. It's just my 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His play this year has been mind boggling. It's the best we've seen him. Your eyes are not fooling you. What you said is 100% right, Bruce. He is outplaying MVP Lamar right now.
And a lot of course, is due to the presence of Derrick Henry. And I talked to Bruce Laird before the game on Monday night because he does the football segment of my Wednesday show, Science of Kirk Turp Talk. And I said, "What do you think about tonight?" He said, "There is no way in the world that Tampa's offense defense can stop the Ravens. You could tell me they're the best against the run. You could tell me anything you want, but they can't stop the Ravens. See, there's too many options, and you saw a little desperation from the Kansas City Chiefs going out to get DeAndre Hopkins. Because I'm going to tell you, if it comes down, the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City. You know that. You're not getting there if you don't beat them, right or wrong. Yeah,
Of course,
you know,
no
and it's
doubt.
it's too early to look forward to that game, okay? But it's inevitable, I think, this year.
I
It
hope.
really is.
Yeah.
And with the edge they have on us right now, the odds are it's going to be in Kansas City. I don't care. You can tell me how loud it is. You can tell me whatever you want. All right. But we are primed to go to the house. We were last year, and our coaching, I think our coaching let us down, and it's not going to happen again. I think Munkin has Lamar playing like it's Georgia against Alabama when Georgia dominated for 3 years. He just, it's just whatever he does. And the other thing is, why use up Derrick Henry in the first half? He's so effective in the second half when these guys get tired. All right. And then you see a 250 pound brick wall running at you. Who wants any part of that?
Well, you see, you can see they don't. I mean, they really do shy away, especially once he gets to the back end of the defense. I mean, those guys don't want anything to do with him. The announcers were having fun talking about that. How afraid they are to go after him once he gets rolling. But listen, we still got work to do,
Oh,
Bruce.
no doubt. Look, we go to
I mean,
Cleveland
that
this
that
week.
that first quarter against Tampa, you know, Ravens were outplayed. End of story. Period. That was a quarter of the game, and they 1,000% were outplayed. I mean, did they respond? Did as good as the offense was? I mean, the biggest plays in the game, Bruce, might have been Humphreys interceptions. You
And it
know,
looks like he won't play
um,
this week, if I had to take a
yeah, you
guess.
know, yeah. So I mean, so do we have concerns? I mean, I think we've got less concerns than most teams. Okay,
No, I
but yeah,
agree.
I
I agree. And I'll tell you this much, okay? Uh, you go into Cleveland this week, and they have a guy who's never started for him, but he's great, and that's Jameson Winston. All right. And he can move the ball, he can run the ball, but wow, it's almost like an exhibition game. He hasn't played. And their backup, if this guy, Dorian Thompson Robinson, who we have played against, if he really is out, and it seems like it, is Bailey Zappi, a guy who I happen to love. I watched him in the Boca Raton Bowl. He could sling
Mm.
the apple, but he couldn't make it in the NFL. I mean, he couldn't make it with New England, and now he's the backup, and he's probably still learning the playbook. All right, so they're in dire straits. Listen, their leading rusher is Jerome Ford. He's got 260 yards for the season. Carl, the
Well,
leading
Nick,
rusher.
I
All
get it.
right, and
Yeah,
Jerry Judy. All right, he's the leading receiver, 21 catches. And you know
yeah.
when, but they're 1-6. But you know as well as I do, that crowd, that team, every time a team plays the Ravens, it's like every time a team plays the Yankees. You know, all you want to do is beat their brains in, and if you think it's going to be easy, you don't know anything about football. It could turn out to be an easy win, but it's not going to be an easy one going into it, right or wrong.
Bruce, I'm a lawyer, as you know. Unfortunately, as my wife will tell you, that means I can argue both sides of the same coin.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to, you're right. And here's the argument. Here's the concern, right? Number one, short week coming off Monday night on the road, going back to Cleveland on the road. Division game. It is the Cleveland Browns. It's the the North Division. We know this stuff can kind of eat teams when you play each other twice a year, sort of evens it out. They've got Myles Garrett still. Okay. They do have Jerry Judy, who's a decent receiver. He's not playing well yet,
But
but
they
that could
gave
have been the
up a Mari
quarterback play.
Cooper. They gave up a
They
Mari
gave up
Cooper.
Cooper. They've got Chubb back this week. Chubb came back last week, didn't play well, but he's back. And they've got Nyoko at tight end. That guy kills us. And you've got a new quarterback, Jameis Winston, who, look, he's a veteran. It's possible this guy comes out and sparks that offense. They saw Joe Flacco spark their offense last year coming off the street.
Hey,
You know,
Carl,
um,
Carl,
yeah,
thank heavens Joe Flacco's not starting. I don't want to
I
face him.
agree.
All right. I don't ever
I
want to
agree.
face him. It's something glitchy about that, about Joe Flacco and the Ravens. He was on I don't know if you listened to the alternative broadcasts.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was great. It was
It was
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was. It was actually the first time that I watched them completely, just from beginning to end of the game, and didn't go to the real game cast. I enjoyed it so much more.
Sometimes.
First of all, Belichick in the first half
That's what I
is
like.
it's pretty much all business, talking about the football and talking about what the quarterback see, what the defense is thinking. I mean, in a really high level, but really explained well. The second half, I stayed with it because it's Ravens guys. It was Flacco and it was Ed Reed. Um, so I wanted to see that, but it got goofier, the coverage of the game, you know. But yeah, but Joe Flacco was there and he was awesome.
Yeah, I talked about one factor about that game that really bothered me. One thing I hate in football, I hate to see anybody get injured. I hate to see anybody get a concussion. I know you feel the same way. You have to
No
look,
doubt.
winning a game because a guy gets a concussion is not a great way to win. You know, winning a game because a guy pulls his hamstring, you want to beat them at their best. And for them to have played, okay, Mike Evans with a hamstring problem going into that game was the dumbest thing in the world. It's one game out of 17. It's one game where the odds are they're probably going to lose it. That doesn't mean you can't win it without him, but how do you risk that kind of guy? It's one thing the Ravens don't do. They do not play games injured, play players injured. And that's why I don't think we're going to see Marlon Humphrey this week, no matter what. And maybe I'm wrong, but in other words, they don't do that. And look at the price you're going to pay after Godwin gets injured in a near meaningless situation with 30 seconds left in the game, down by 10 points. Yeah, you could have gotten a touchdown. You could have gotten an extra. I mean, it was absurd at that point. Maybe not with 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left, but at that point, it just wasn't going to happen. And one day I wish the Ravens would just be able to just put that extra foot on the throat. You know what I mean? And not have these games at the end where they have such a big lead and they
I
relax and
do.
it gets real old, real old.
Yeah, no,
So, well, I want to talk about
yeah,
one more
I'd
thing.
like to see a little bit more of the garbage time, as opposed to making that garbage time, kind of tense. You
Yeah,
know,
I hate seeing that, but gotta talk about Rashad Bateman. All of a sudden, there was a lot of talk about is he going to get better and stuff like that. And what's the answer? The
yeah,
answer is he's much better than he's been.